So, hi everyone. Good day, greetings. My name is Dr. Thaon Simms, one of your hosts of the Limitless podcast. Joining us as always is your co host, Dr. Matthew Preston. Hail up the people in Matthew.
Hey guys, what's good?
hmm And as you can see, we have a special guest in the building. All right, Titan in the industry, in the finance industry. Julian Morrison, welcome, bro. Welcome.
Yeah, these guys are medical doctors, but I'm Dr. Doom according to a certain crowd. I'm the Doom and Gloom guy. I'm Dr. Doom, so I'll just take that on. I'm a villain, guys.
Yeah.
Fully.
Well, love to have you, bro. Honestly, we rate
Yeah.
villains sometimes. We were talking about it before all of this, before the recording, about the villains we rate in, like, Marvel Cinematic Universe and so on. But welcome, bro.
Yeah.
Welcome. So for the people that don't
Thanks.
know you, right? Give us a little background, because I know some people obviously know you as you said, the doom and gloom guy, that guy stirring up the pot on Twitter. But who is Julian Morrison? Let's start with that first.
Okay, so I am a lover of economics. So I fell in love with economics in high school, and that's what led me to go into financial markets later on. I used to listen to Jay-Z as well, big Jay-Z fan. And what struck me is that Jay-Z spoke a lot about buying companies. And when I was in high school, I was like, yo, person can buy a company? Like, the thought just never crossed my mind. Because we used to talk about companies in abstraction, like, okay, this is a company, and then the persons work for the company, and then you have business managers who are in the company driving the outcomes. But the concept of individuals owning companies really clicked to me when I was listening to a lot of Jay-Z at the time. So between being a Jay-Z fan and falling in love with economics, both happening in high school, it eventually led me to be deeply interested in investing. So I started out being an intern at Sagicor Group when I was about 23. Before that, I did an internship at Ministry of Finance when I was in university. I did a degree in economics at UA. And then I worked in insurance briefly at a company called Law Insurance Brokers. And then while I was there, I started reading heavily in Jamaican financial markets. So I used to read the Friday paper religiously. And I did a Jamaica Stock Exchange course on mergers and acquisitions and another one in wealth management. So by the time I was in the securities industry, which would have been the following year, this is like 2017. I'm about 26 at this time. I had a couple years of just, you know, research on my own, reading a lot about what's happening in the space. I already started buying stocks. My first purchase was NCB and Panjam. That was my 25th birthday to myself. It's not a big purchase, but I did what I could at the time. Then after that, I transitioned to research because at JMB I was an advisor. And it was an interesting experience, our first-hand experience in actually advising clients and having
hmm
an FSC license there on behalf of JMB. Then I went to JN. I did analysis there for a year, and then I went to Proven, where I was an analyst for a year and a half. Then I did a year as assistant manager of private equity. So transactions like Roberts, I did the post-closing work on Roberts. And also, I did some background work on the sale of Dream Entertainment. Um, there are some other things I did that I can't really speak about. But essentially, a lot of the deals that came to Proven, I was
Yeah.
responsible for assessing them and then passing them on for approval. Because, we have an investment committee separate from the board that essentially gives the yay or nay on investment opportunities.
Oh,
And I
okay.
worked briefly with Chris as well. Then after that, I moved to strategy. So now I am the manager of investment strategy at Proven. So this would have been about 10 months ago.
hmm
So I have a team of investment strategists. They're not just analysts. Analysts essentially convert signals into investment recommendations, but the strategists take it a step further. They give more color, they give more context, and they
hmm
go deeper into product design. So they actually build financial solutions like For
Yeah, give some
example,
examples for the people.
all right, fine. So you have something called structured products.
Yeah.
And usually a structured product is a hybrid where you layer one investment on top of another. So the client will get the feature of two investments while just investing in one. So you'll have a bond, and the
Mm-hmm.
bond will give the fixed payments. And because usually that bond is privately traded, it doesn't have a lot of fluctuation. So when the client invests in it, you don't have a lot of volatility. You're just getting steady payments on that in terms of cash flows. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one feature. The other is usually an option on an equity, right? So it can be an option on Apple, for example. So you're getting the steady cash flows from the bond and you're getting the upside from Apple stock at the
If it
same
goes
time,
up. Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So it's a hybrid. So it's giving you the exposures of two securities while just being one. That's an example of product design.
So
But
is that one
also,
of the things you mainly do now at Proven?
that's one of the things, but
Okay.
it's not limited to that because we do the normal research functions as well, where we look at financial markets and we say, okay, this is a buy, this is a sell, and this is who it's for, because it's very good to give color as to appropriateness of investments, not just it being a buyer selling a vacuum, but under what conditions. And we're very big on investing thematically. So looking at sectors and going deep into sectors to say, okay, these sectors make sense under these conditions. It's not just, oh, the stock is great.
Yeah.
We'll try and break it apart because we're very big on looking at themes.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of who I am and what I've done. Um, I'm a nerd. I used to produce music. Some people know that.
What was your
Yeah, my
name?
life is really weird.
You had a
Yeah.
DJ name?
No, bro. Okay, so I used to produce under the name King Biggs. So like
King
even
Biggs.
yeah man, no. So even so Kabaka had a breakthrough project called Rebel Music.
Yeah.
It came out about 2011, and the
Mm-hmm.
first track was produced by me.
Wow, big up.
Yeah. So
King
like
Biggs Records. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yo, we
you see,
need
I
to
knew
drop
it
that
was
in the
going to become a
description.
joke, you know. Yeah, no,
We
but
need to
for real
drop
though,
that in
for real, for
the
real. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I stopped making music like in 2014.
I remember you were telling me still.
Yeah, so a
Um,
lot of that happened like while I was in
mhm.
university. I was making music heavy, and it wasn't just limited to Kabaka. It was just one of the things that happened. But ironically, I got my work ethic from music because while I was in university, I was doing math tutorials and making beats. So like in second year, I made 200 beats, and those are just the beats I saved. There are other things I never saved.
Oh
So when
wow.
it comes to like turnover and workflow, I got a lot of that from when I was doing music. So I'm a
Mm.
self starter.
So then, how did you know you wanted to do music? Was it your love for Jay Z? Was it like what was it?
I told you my life is weird. So like
Yo, you
um
know what? This honestly, I was talking to this girl the other day, and she was saying that the fear with Jamaican men is
yeah.
that they can just pick up, like, drop what them doing today, and say, "Yo, I just want to be an artist still." It's so
So all
funny.
right.
So yeah,
No, let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what happened.
come on, go through, go through.
So I I didn't grow up in a musical household, but my dad used to collect records and he had musical equipment at the house. He had like a component set and stuff. And some of my friends were making beats at the time, and I was just very curious about sound all my life. I used to play music in church. So really and truly, I do
Mm-hmm.
have a musical background with the context of like playing an instrument and all of that. So I was playing alongside musicians for years. These guys would have been like pianists, then play drum set, then play bass, whatever. And I actually went to Edna Music School for 2 summers. So it's not like I was just freestyling. I had some amount of musical exposure. I know what a chord is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right? But that don't mean that, I know everything because my mom didn't like the fact that I did music. She hated it. So I learned the concept of bootstrapping from early because I didn't have a choice. Like I had to save up my money and buy equipment and any magazine about the industry I had to save up and do all of that. But going to Ireland at the time that I did, I was surrounded by a lot of creative people. So people who made comics, people who drew, people who acted, people who sang, people who
Mm-hmm.
made beats too. So I really and truly I'm surrounded by creative energy.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
not just
thing
about,
I've realized with Ardenites. There so much creative energy. A lot of artists come out from.
yo, it's scary. It's
Yeah, it's
scary.
it's.
It's
I don't know
scary.
what they're cooking up at that school, but it's definitely a school for creatives.
Yeah,
So
it was amazing. So
mm,
it's not just people who are book smart, but they're always challenging ideas and stuff. So um that had a big influence on me doing music. It wasn't weird for me, and it wasn't like, oh, this is gonna be an artist. You're around people who play rock guitar. You're around people who play acoustic guitar. You're around people who make genres of music that not popular in Jamaica. So it's just it's almost as if you're at a school for creatives, as they say. Um, so it was just a natural progression. You had people who rapped, and I did some rapping as well. So it wasn't like you're being weird. You're surrounded by people who, feed off each other's creative energy. And it has helped me even in investing too, because what I find is that a lot of analysts, they're very focused on accuracy and seeing things in black and white. But to really do well in financial markets, you have to, one, be able to recognize patterns, and two, be able to assimilate information where there are connected points that don't seem obviously connected, but you have to be able to see the pattern as it comes together and connect those points better than an average person. That's how you get ahead of the curve. That's why I told you I was a healthcare bull, because I'm seeing signals that feed into healthcare being an investment opportunity that most people don't care about. They're like, yo, healthcare, yo,
hmm
doctor, yo, that lame. Why may I talk about that? No. There's a
yeah,
reason Fontana is printing money. It's not buck-ups. And it's not because
facts.
of makeup. You get
hmm
me?
There's
And
a
other
reason
things as well.
IPCL, as you're saying, you like IPCL. They're
Yeah,
making
yeah,
bank
yeah.
right now,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
forecasted to make much more. So yeah. I mean, we're doctors, so we're also healthcare bulls.
You
Um,
guys really
but
should lean into that. Trust me, play to your strengths.
If you
yeah,
look
Don't
at
feel like
even
medicine's a waste of time. Yeah,
Leachin is making a lot of moves in the healthcare industry now. So his nuclear moves are not just for energy. One of the big things he said is also for like one of the big things is that there's targeted therapy in medicine that they're working on. So for example, with treatment of cancers, you can do chemotherapy right now where it's like it will kill all the cells, so it will go after the cancer cells. But years before, the typical treatment for cancer would be chemotherapy, where it's like it will go after your cancer cells, but it goes after your healthy cells. So that's what gives you all the adverse effects, so the nausea, the vomiting, diarrhea, things like that. But with targeted therapy, you're more going after specifically the cancer cells. So, say the cancer cells have this thing on them, it's almost like there's a piece of metal in the cancer cells, and you can give the medication with a magnet that will go and attract just to the cancer cells or mostly to the cancer cells. You're able to avoid a lot of like side effects and stuff like that, or certain side effects. So, Leachin is making moves with that because I think he owns, is it like he owns a stake in a company that basically is one of the largest producers of like the nuclear energy reactors, specifically like some sort of small reactor, and then they're also very big on producing the isotopes that you need for the certain cancer treatments. So I think that will be very interesting because if you think about it, um, there's like how much billions of people or whatever are there in the world right now, and with certain populations, especially even our population, a lot of us get certain cancers. Like black people are at an increased risk for certain cancers. So if you can double someone's life, like
hmm
or triple it, or that's
and
a
it's not
quite a
even
big deal.
Yeah, and it's not even just as you said, black people and so on. Certain populations are more at risk to certain cancers than others, but just generally speaking, like global demographics, it's aging, right? A lot of populations are aging, and that's one of the biggest risk factors for a lot of cancers: increasing age or advanced age. So right now, I think certain healthcare industries would benefit from the silver economy, where it's just more aging people, so you have to target the needs, and a lot of business solutions can be targeted to them, right? So I mean, I love that stuff. I'm passionate about. I don't talk about as much, I guess. But yeah, so big healthcare bull, as we're saying. So
Yeah. I think population aging is under discussed, and I also think, given that we have really built in a culture of having a diet from the days of slavery, and we've transitioned away from having an agrarian lifestyle. So our grandparents would have grown up on farms, but we're now around computers most of the time, but our diet has largely been the same. So what you find is that our calorie consumption is way out of whack with our lifestyle. So you find that we're getting high blood pressure earlier. A lot of us are overweight, including myself, is something I'm working on. Um, it's a risk factor, even for some type of cancers. I gather you're starting to see correlation between obesity or being overweight with certain cancer development,
hmm
and of course, diabetes is a huge problem in Jamaica. If you look at the top 10 causes of death in Jamaica, about eight of them are lifestyle illnesses. Eight out
hmm
of 10. Not,
hmm
I mean, we talk a lot about crime, which is an issue too. But in terms of what is killing Jamaicans, trust me,
yeah.
is it's lifestyle diseases. It's
I
really a
actually went
crisis.
to a research thing with the. I wish I remember the name. It was. I don't know if it was sponsored. It was put on by the ministry. It was a. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the name. I feel so bad right now, but it was good, and they were talking about stuff like that, and they brought up statistics, and here crime was super low compared to like cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, diabetes, all the complications of those. And those are the number one killers, you know. So yeah, there is a definite need for funding, whether private sector and public sector, but there's a private sector push for more like funds into that market, into the healthcare industry, that sector. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're seeing some listings too happening, so that's also good. All
Yeah,
right, I'm
yeah,
hoping
yeah,
to
yeah.
see some more healthcare listings in the next coming years and so on.
Yeah. Hopefully. I'm kind of disappointed with G West,
hmm
but I guess as the space evolves, we'll have more ways to get exposure to healthcare as investors. But definitely an area we can't lose out in, because it's a similar pattern in the US.
hmm
I saw a statistic that almost a third of Americans right now are obese, and it's projected to move closer to a half in about a
hmm
decade, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Imagine
wow.
half of your population obese.
Yeah, that's
Like
that's an
your
insane
the
statistic.
profile of diseases is going to just skyrocket if that
hmm
happens.
hmm
So yeah, see, it's about investing thematically. This is what I do at work.
Oh,
We have
okay,
these kind of debates.
nice. Oh, you
Yeah.
said we could have worked for you, bro.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
get it.
yeah, definitely.
All right.
Mm. You
So
watched
what do
that
you like about?
movie? Hold on. You
Oh,
watched that
go ahead.
movie? Was it Wally? I'm pretty sure. Was it? I think it was that movie where you saw all the people in the future, and basically all of
Yes.
them were basically obese, and like they had
They're all in like,
wheelchairs and stuff, or some, yeah,
yeah,
Yo, that's
some like
amazing. I'm gonna look that up.
yeah,
I think I
Wally.
saw it, but a long time ago.
yeah,
Obviously, I'll be looking at it through a different lens because of this conversation. I'll probably watch it tonight.
yeah. Sometimes
Wally
you
is,
know it's so
is good.
scary. Sometimes do you guys watch Black Mirror?
Yeah.
Yo,
Some of
you're the
those,
second person. Actually, one of the analysts on my team was talking about Black Mirror, so I'm
yeah.
gonna check it out now.
Honestly,
Bro, you
Black
don't watch
Mirror.
Black Mirror?
Some of the like the cool part about it is that every episode is basically unrelated. So you literally can just watch a quick. It's basically like a short movie. Maybe it's like an
hmm
hour or something like that.
Yeah.
But some of the episodes cover dystopian futures, and as much as they're supposed to be dystopian, when you look at it, kind of where the world is going,
Yeah, it's
it's
it,
not
a
so
lot of them are
far off.
yeah,
It's
it's not so
not so
far off from
far off.
reality.
Like it's very possible for some of these stuff. So
Did you
hmm
guys play Metal Gear?
No, I never
no,
played
no.
Metal
I
Gear.
think I used to
Yo,
play
all right,
as what's his name? Snake in like Smash Bros.
all right, hold on. So like, I know you guys are nerds, right? Check out. All right, you see, the benefit with YouTube is that you don't have to play games to basically experience them, so you can watch them.
Yeah.
Watch Metal Gear 1 and 2. You don't have to watch 3, just watch 1 and 2. Metal Gear kind of long, and it seems weird at first, but just follow it. It's talking about some of the things we're discussing, especially as it relates to AI.
Okay.
They didn't call it AI, but
Mm-hmm.
it's basically discussing an AI arms race and how the US and its enemies are essentially leaning to AI as the next frontier of warfare. And Snake is actually an agent who goes in to try to stop mechanization of military forces in a way that would be exploitative. So you basically have a government agency that gets a special weapon called Metal Gear. And Metal Gear would be like the next frontier of warfare, right? And basically, I won't give it away. Just watch it.
Yeah,
Just
I
watch
watch
it.
it. I
The
watch it.
writing is very good. It's really, really, really good. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Just watch it.
All right, no problem.
Metal Gear,
Mm-hmm.
top notch. There's a reason so many people love Metal Gear.
Okay,
Yeah.
definitely will check it out.
Hmm.
Um, I've just posted in the group my favorite Black Mirror episode, or one of my favorites. I think this is probably number one. It's called
Yeah.
"Hated in the Nation."
Yeah.
So the beauty about Black Mirror is you don't have to read them, you don't have to watch them in order or anything like that, because none of them are related. Like none of them relate to each other. So "Hated in the Nation," bro.
I'm gonna watch it. Trust me.
Uh,
If you tell me to watch it, I'm going to watch it. Yeah.
okay.
So basically, let's go back to investing. So we don't go straight
Yeah.
deep. Yeah, that's gonna be like, yeah, warm to the neuter.
Right.
Um, yeah. So in terms of my investment appetite, I am moderate to aggressive. I
Mm-hmm.
normally sit in that realm,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always situational. So I think that there are times to be aggressive, and there are times to be moderate and kind of pull back. I wouldn't consider myself as conservative because I believe in looking at returns that can change your life, right? Life changing returns. But what I normally get into fights with people over is the time frame within which that happens, right? So I believe in returns that will give you a 3x, 5x, 10x. We're not even talking about percentages, we're talking about multiples. But based on most investment strategies that are realistic, multiples tend to happen over longer time spans. We can even have another sit down where I literally show you the evidence to show that, yo, literally longer time spans will give you a higher return. There's evidence to show it. But point is, that's just where my headspace is. So just for clarification, that's where I'm at. But I'm not one of those people to say, boy, I'll get 5x my money next week because it, what is big in our what's big in our space, it can happen with small sums, right? Let me just put that out there. But
Mm-hmm.
I just telling you where my head is. So in terms of investing, probability is a huge, huge factor, right? A lot of things are a matter of odds. So we're not gambling, but when we're talking about return streams or what we call return avenues, because returns are normally pegged to something. It's
Mm-hmm.
either pegged to like something happening to a sector, or it's pegged to liquidity. Is liquidity coming in? Is liquidity coming out? It's pegged to cultural factors. Okay, do people understand and like this asset class, for example, like real estate, or do people don't understand this asset class? Maybe like currency trading, right? A lot of people might not necessarily jump at that in the same way.
Or crypto.
Yeah, or even crypto. I didn't say crypto because a lot of people don't consider it an asset class, but fine.
Mm-hmm.
Crypto as well. So there are things that returns are hedged on, and the fact that they are tied to these specific things, it sets up the probability distribution, like what is likely. So what's likely in a year in crypto is not going to be what's likely in a year for JSE equities, right? The profile is going to be different. And then it depends on the type of equities you're talking about, like junior market stocks and which junior market stocks versus which main market stocks, because they don't always trade in the same way and all those dynamics. So the fact is, returns are not, they're not totally random.
Mm-hmm.
There's randomness in returns, but returns in general are not random. And the longer time span, that we look at, or the longer the time frame, is the less random they will be. They're more random in shorter time frames than they are over the long term, generally speaking.
Okay, I think I
So
understand what you're saying.
that's really that's really what I talk about. So like if I am investing on behalf of, and usually when I talk like I'm investing on behalf of somebody else because there's somebody else listening to me.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily giving advice, but
And we're not giving advice here at all,
yeah, none of
right?
this is
Nothing,
advice,
none of this.
right?
We
None of
always
this is
put it in the
recommendations.
description. Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody knows it's just like our own opinions. Go
yeah,
ahead,
yeah.
Julian.
We're just talking.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm always thinking as if I'm managing money on somebody else's behalf. If I'm trading my account, it will contradict some of the things I just said a while ago because I can just make a play, and the play
Yeah,
is just what it is.
yeah.
But there's
Like
a
you just
difference
see an
between
opportunity right here, and you're just like, maybe it goes against what you normally say or so on, but you see that returns can
yeah,
happen
yeah,
here,
yeah.
so you just yeah,
Because again, we have like two things. We have portfolios that are, or we have, yeah, portfolios have two layers, right? You have your core and then you have your satellite. Core is the stuff that you hold on to and you build it out. It can even be two separate accounts. You can have
mm,
a core account and then you can have another account that is what we call satellite. So those are things that you straddle in and out of, right? Situationally. So a portfolio will have, it can have two parts. It can have a core part and a satellite part. And even outside of that, we'll have what is called strategic investing versus tactical investing. So it can be tactical. So I raise money from my investors, and the day my investors give me money, my money starts to lose value because of the time value of money. A dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow. So it means that I need to get to action quick, but I might not necessarily be able to fund all the opportunities on the schedule at the same time. So
yeah,
in the interim, I need to invest that in some securities that can generate interest until I can deploy everything that I raised,
yeah,
right? That's one argument. So that is an example of being tactical, right? So it's just really putting things into context and talking about possibilities and what can happen instead of just jumping up and saying, yo, dog, so man, Tony Rich, dog, say, yo, man, have a month, dog, yo, man, the general. No, you get me? Everybody would like to do that.
yeah,
But again, it's not impossible, it's
hmm,
just improbable. And everything
yeah,
is a matter of odds. And if I'm investing your money, I'm not going to look at something that's not probable.
yeah.
That's ridiculous to me.
Is it hard for you to invest somebody's money as an advisor, like when you were an advisor, or if you do that currently? Is it
I
hard
was
for you
very,
to, like,
I
on
was
a
very, yeah,
individual basis, like if somebody
yeah,
comes up to you and be like, "Yo, I want, 10x in like 3 months,"
yeah, yeah, yeah.
isn't that how
Well,
do you navigate
well,
it?
I've had to talk a lot of people off the ledge. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
But, but, when I was an advisor at JMB, um, which is like 2017 to 2018, Jamaica was going through a bull market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Equity markets were on a tear. For example, just to give some context, Wusinko listed when I was an advisor. That was the
Mm-hmm.
days of when you had to apply via paper, right?
Yeah.
GWS listed, um, Cable and Wireless delisted. So there was a lot of activity, and people were just starting to talk about equities in a real way. People who would have been in the market long before, and people who were in the industry would have known. But when I was an advisor, I was one of the few people talking about equities in a serious way. Most advisors, they were focused on different people had their specialties to be fair. You always had the bonds guy and you had the guy who looked at something else, for example. But I was known for equities. So I was the one that was like, yo, this is what return on equity means. This is how you pick a good stock versus a stock that might not perform in the same way, even though it was in the same category, blah, blah, blah. So it's very ironic that I'm being called Dr. Doom now when like 6, 7 years ago, I was the one going out on a limb talking about equities. But of course, a lot of this would have been behind the scenes and whatever. So it's all right. I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes you have to just be unpopular. Because back then I was unpopular. I'm known for going against the grain, so I'm comfortable.
Okay.
Again,
Cool.
I'm Dr. Doom. I actually going to change that to my
Twitter
change my
name.
Twitter.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Do, not King
Yeah.
Biggs.
No, no, no. King Biggs. Actually, my Twitter handle used to be King Biggs. So if you
Oh,
type
wow.
in King Biggs SOL, you will see a lot
Oh,
of
okay.
stuff come up. Yeah,
Up top, up
Oh,
top.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Preston, do you have
Yeah.
any more? We have a ton of questions. I don't know. Talk
No,
to me.
so hold
um,
on. Don't save your
mhm.
questions
Hmm.
until after I go through a couple slides that I prepared.
Oh, you
All
prepare
right.
slides.
Yeah, man. So we can have a structured conversation. I don't want just go straight to the question. I actually want to show it, and then we can have like a more meaningful
Okay.
exchange after that.
All right, let's
Mhm.
let's let's go through it. This is gonna be our first episode with like a presentation, so this is kind of
Yeah.
fun. Let's get
No,
it.
remember being Doctor Doom, like
Yeah,
I have to cover my bases, right?
fair, fair.
All right. So on the first part, it's just the introduction. What's market manipulation?